In a world where horrid stenches and piercing screams come not from the realms of fantasy, but from the nightmare of reality. Come two heroes, bonded by love and the kind of desperation only parents can know.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Behold, RPGs and Baby Makes 3, the greatest podcast in the history of all podcasts, by parents who have made a podcast about being gamers with a baby. Did I mention it's a podcast? Here are your hosts, Gretchen Hilmers and Rob Hessler.
And another episode of RPGs and Baby Makes 3. I have no idea what number episode this is, actually. We do all of these, like, special episodes and random bonus pods and interviews and stuff, so, like, I really don't know where we are numerically with the actual podcast.
I don't even know what day it is.
It's Wednesday. Hump Day.
You know you want to say it, right?
No, I don't want to say it.
It's some terrible voice.
Nope, not doing it.
Really? Because you and your sister used to walk around yelling it for a while.
No, it was my sister and her husband Delia. It wasn't me.
Yeah, but when you would visit, you would yell it out too.
No. There's no proof of that.
Hump Day!
And now you did.
It was like an echo chamber. It's like if you're out in the forest and you're trying to find each other, you should just yell that out.
Oh my gosh.
It only bird calls.
Literally took
Hump Day!
It took 15 seconds for this to go off the rails. Let's go ahead and roll for initiative.
They see me rolling. Some people are born lucky. Let's roll.
Roll for initiative.
Alright, so rolled for initiative. Week in gaming. We kind of had some really bad luck, actually, for a little while, where work made us cancel a Troika game, a Weirdwood game. Amanda Plagueman, who's been on the show a number of times, had to cancel her Ravenloft game.
Yeah, but all that missed game time made it so we could go on vacation.
Yeah, but I mean, that was all before vacation.
Yeah, but I was working my butt off.
True.
So, like, I needed that time. And it was miserable.
Yeah, it was miserable working that hard for that long. And then, of course, we did end up getting to go on vacation. But then we came back and we played DragonLance yesterday. So that was fun.
Yeah,
to
it was
back
fun.
to DragonLance.
Yeah, I made a great snack bowl for us.
Oh, my God, that was such a good snack bowl. And you know what? And I was having some problems with my headphones, and I couldn't hear anything through the headphones.
You were not
and
happy
I was so
about
mad
that.
about it. And you know what the problem was? Volume was all the way down on the headphones. Like, I didn't know that these headphones had a little, knob, I guess you could say.
Well,
that
Rob,
rotates
maybe
up.
you should read the instructions when you get the product.
Well, I mean, I didn't realize that there was a lot of complexity to headphones.
Dude, your headphones light up like a Christmas tree. Of course there's some things you don't know about them.
Well, I figured it out today, and I used them, and they worked.
Are they also Bluetooth?
I don't know. I didn't read the instructions.
There you have it.
But anyway, I went back to my other headphones. We ended up playing on Zoom. We didn't play in person because of the
Someone's car got broke.
Someone's car got broke, so we just switched over to Zoom. And that's kind of one thing that's been, I guess you could think of as a positive with the pandemic, is that we still always have that resource. And we play both on Zoom and we play, in person. And we probably wouldn't have really gotten as into playing online. And a lot of the alt games we're playing online, and gives us an opportunity to play with other different folks and stuff. So that's a lot of fun. And DragonLance, we're recording them now. So actually we're going to start putting these episodes out for those who might be interested. Although it was session 61, I believe, although it was our second
I
recorded
think
session.
61
Sounds about right. Yeah, so we've been going for a while with DragonLance, but yeah, the things are starting to heat up again, and so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna get out of this situation.
Trying to steal a ship. There's a dragon nearby. A lot of good stuff.
Okay, no, you're like, there's these draconians over here. And we're like, okay, man, all right, there's some draconians. And then you have this group of draconians over here. And we're like, oh, crap, another group, huh? And then we got some more over here. And then we got this room full of humans. Oh, and by the way, in the back, there's a dragon. And we're like, is it just going to get worse? It's going to get worse, isn't it? How could it get worse? It's not
At least they were all busy moving furniture.
Yeah, but then you're like, oh, and by the way, there are these flying eyeball creatures.
I mean, we're playing D&D. That like flying eyeball creatures are kind of par for the course.
But I feel like we're kind of in danger for a TPK if we're not careful.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing is that you're higher level now, so you have capabilities to avoid
we're gonna
situations.
be able to take on 40 draconians, some 15 flying eyeballs, and a dragon.
No, but you were able to navigate.
Oh, and a 9-foot-tall draconian up the hallway.
Yeah, well, here's me playing the world's tiniest violin.
Well, thank goodness you're all for failing upwards.
Fail forward.
Fail forward.
Not upwards. Sometimes you fail forward and down and fall down the stairs and bump your head on every single step. But that doesn't mean that, you know, I would really hate for a TPK now. 61 sessions in, I mean, I don't want you guys to die. I'm rooting for you. Although I don't pull punches, I'm rooting for you. So, but if you die, you die.
If he dies, he dies.
Man, it's going to be a very weird night in this house if my character dies.
Oh my god. I mean, seriously, you other GMs out there who are GMing your spouse and you're doing it right. You're not like sugarcoating it for them. You're not, you know, giving them any extra benefits like I am, and you're just playing them straight as forward as every other player in the group. Yeah, that's a little bit of a concern of mine too. Whenever I like roll some die that can potentially kill you, I'm like, oh man, I know Gretchen wouldn't want me to cheat in her favor. I don't want to. It would be fair to the rest of the players, and I wouldn't ever cheat like that anyway. But if she dies, I'm going to sleep on the couch tonight. I don't kill characters. The game
kills characters.
All right. Well, look, hey, we're switching up the format a little bit on the show now. We want to get more episodes out, essentially. We want to get more episodes, and we want to give ourselves the opportunity to talk a little bit longer about particular subjects. So rather than going with our normal 3 subjects per episode sort of format that we kind of had gotten into a groove on, we're just going to do one main topic every episode now, and we'll talk a little bit longer. Each episode will probably be a little bit shorter, but that'll give us the opportunity to put out an episode more frequently. Rather than every other week, we'll probably get one out, maybe weekly or so. So we're going to switch up the format, and so this week we're going to have our one segment is going to be groans and moans. So let's get into that.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not gonna do what everyone thinks I'm gonna do. Flip out, man.
Look, I've got a major problem, okay?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
You have no power over me.
Groans and moans.
Groans and moans, moans and groans, here we are. This is a topic that you brought up, Gretchen, so fire away.
I'm just casually poking around on the Facebook while a file is saving, and I'm working, and up pops a comic. And I read it, and it's one of those comics where I just kind of, And I had scrolled by it, and then I decided, like, wait, I need to look at this comic again, because this just feels weird.
And you're talking about an RPG comic, right? Like on one of the RPG sites.
On one of the D&D sites. Now, apparently it's hit Reddit, and it's been on multiple D&D forums on, everywhere. And it struck me as Oh, I think I really want to talk about consent when it comes to this comic.
Okay, so well, first of all, what does the comic look like? What's the comic?
The comic is by a fellow who goes by Colms Comics. That's COLMS, and he's all over the social medias. And there's 5 frames, and the first one is a dude in suspenders with a bow tie, stereotypical nerd dress, and he's throwing a D20. And the panel, he says, would you ladies care for a dance? And then the next panel is 3 women in club clothes. There's a black-haired woman, a blonde, and a redhead. And the blonde in the middle says, get away, creep. And you can see the D20 rolling on the table in front of them. And it comes to a stop, and it's a 20. And the next panel says, but he just rolled a nat 20. And they're all kind of like, kind of hesitant. Like, oh, God, there's a what? And then another panel where they're all just staring at it with these really confused, sad sort of looks. And then the final panel is the nerd dude smoking a cigarette, laying on clearly a bed with all 3 women. And all 3 women look shocked and confused, and I don't know, but he looks happy as a clam, smoking a cigarette because he just rolled a nat 20.
Let's say that the 3 women look like they have expression on their faces of what have I done?
Yeah, what have I done? That's a really good descriptor.
Yeah.
And it just, so there's 2 schools of thought right now, or there's two kind of sides to this online, and one is, my God, this feels rapey, and what's wrong with this? I don't see a problem. You all are white knights on a crusade, really. And I would like to be in the middle. I always like to be in the middle, unless if I'm going to be on one side, I'm going to set something on fire.
Right.
And going through this guy's comics, there is some pretty funny, nerdy stuff. He has a good sense of humor. And he really, really missed the mark on this. And I think he could have done something really funny. But the expressions and the knowing the women are unsure and they're like, oh God, are we really going to do this? It feels creepy. It just, ugh. But I really feel like, I don't know. I think rolling a nat 20, you're not, it also kind of misses the mark on what a nat 20 means. So I just feel like if the scenario was to try to get these ladies in bed and you're rolling nat 20, and that was the way the scenario was supposed to go, they would be excited, interested, into it. But this hesitation...
That's a good point, yeah.
It's like, they have to do this. And I think it brings up this issue of consent. And I think that, I don't know, it just left me feeling weird. Now, when we sat down at the dinner table tonight, we were talking about, what are we going to do tonight? And I mentioned this. And, the original post that I had seen was removed, but it's still floating around, and I was able to get a hold of it. And you had seen it too.
Yeah, I had come across it as well, and it definitely kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Just in seeing it at first, I was like, there's something weird and sort of disquieting about the way that it was portrayed, given the sort of societal circumstances that we're in. I mean, I don't really think that, I think we need to be careful and considerate of this idea, and consent is, as you use the word consent, I think that's the big thing. But I was trying, like you, since this kind of came up and we were talking about it, I sort of wanted to spend a little bit of time kind of considering, because I do think that there's often this my instincts were like, ooh, that's gross, and that's not right? But then, like, I understand that an artist, people can mean one thing and it can just read really badly. Like, so I'm not going to, like, kill the artist on this, because I was sort of thinking of it as from another standpoint, and that's maybe a tongue-in-cheek criticism of skill checks in a game, where, like, sometimes you're playing a game and, like, your character is just, like, not skilled at something, and you roll some absurd lucky die roll, and so you succeed at the thing that you're not good at ever by sheer luck of the dice roll. And so it could be just like pointing out the total ridiculousness of that notion by reframing it within sort of real life, I guess you might say. But the problem is like you said, and I hadn't even thought about that when I was considering this, is that the nat 20, if you were playing it by the game, it would be, the reactions would totally change. Like, they wouldn't be hesitant any longer. They would be, like, he would be, the nat 20 is an expression of him being incredibly charming.
Right.
And so he would charm them, and it wouldn't be a weird, like, because I rolled this die, you're obligated. I mean, that almost feels like roofie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it definitely feels like totally uncomfortable and weird. It would be the other way around. Now, we can also, I just want to put this out there, because we're talking about RPGs, and details are important to some people. I am aware that in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, a natural 20 on a skill check is not an automatic success. There is no critical success on a skill check in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. So technically, the guy could roll a 20 and still not succeed. So just let me get that nerd thing out of the way.
Apparently, there's a follow-up to that, an example of, okay, well, you roll a natural 20, it doesn't always go the way you think. And it's a meme of a Klingon quote of one of the Klingon women saying, basically, well, I will let you live and let you take your hand off of me without, I don't know, breaking your fingers or something like that. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, if we're talking about this like in an actual game, then there would be, you're right, it wouldn't have to go that way. That's not like the automatic response is like sex scene with 3 women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the automatic response could be like, okay, well, this nerd's kind of funny. He can sit down at the table and have a drink with us, and we'll talk with him, or something like along those lines. Or okay, I would never normally talk to this person in the club, but because they're kind of funny, I'll or maybe they're kind of cute, I'll talk to him, something along those lines.
And he asked for a dance to start off with. How does that go from dance to sex? Like, I don't know.
Well, because it's a comic and it's a 6-panel comic, and you're like,
okay, right.
moving the story along, in a short form 1-page thing. But yeah, I mean, I just think that this is an interesting, though. I mean, I think is it for you that it's. I mean, you're not, like you said, you looked at the rest of the artist's work. It's not like he's a creeper. I mean, like if you look at his stuff,
some adult overtones.
But
not
he's
say
generally,
undertones, but overtones.
I don't think that
generally kind of funny. He seems to take pot shots at both men and women. But I think this is where there is a difference of experience in life. I think that a lot of ally men are not always aware of this expectation and obligation of sex from women. I think that there is a portion of men out there who believe that anything that they do in return should be given sex, and that women are obligated to do that. And
But how pervasive is that notion? I mean, we're sort of...
In today's America, I think it's out there a lot more than it... out there in plain view. I also don't... you know, like, we don't run in those circles.
Right. I mean,
those
so that's,
kind of men.
yeah.
But it's out there, and it can be very frightening for women. And so I want to say that, hey, this is just a comic. I see how he's trying to be funny. But like I said, it misses the mark. It doesn't understand the real life social context of what a lot of women are put through.
Well, and I would actually go sort of one step further in that, I mean, you know, I just kind of look, like, here's the thing, is that, you know, the DragonLance game that I'm running, you know, it has 3 women and 1 man as far as the players. I mean, it's predominantly women players, and I've always played in games where, you know, there's a good mix of men and women, and, you know, of all different types of people and stuff like that. I've been fortunate in that.
I'm sure non-binary as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, and I'm always been very open, and I also, but more than that, it's beyond that. I just kind of want everybody to sort of feel comfortable at my table. Now, I understand there are certain games that have different themes, and those games can push boundaries for people, and maybe that in those particular games, it's just not for everybody. I mean, certain games aren't for everybody because of the themes that are involved in playing those games, and it's not meant for, if it's really upsetting to you that some part of the theme of a game,
gotta walk away.
Yeah, play a different game. I mean, that's just going to be the case in some instances, but I want people to feel comfortable, and I see the problem is that it almost gives, like, it's a funny little thing. Well, like, imagine you're at a table and you're playing a game. Like, we don't want to reinforce the idea that, haha, my character is going to try to seduce these other characters and, like, play out some sex scene and, like, roll dice and, like, you know, like that might make players at the table uncomfortable. And sure, those kind of things could be discussed in, like, a session 0, or it could be a lines and veils sort of situation where it's discussed. But a lot of times you don't really know, you know, and I kind of think that reinforces a certain kind of bad behavior, or even just like, it makes it a silly little joke when for some people it's really serious. Like, and I don't know if minimizing that kind of behavior in just as a little joke is really a good thing for the gaming community, because right now more women are coming into gaming than ever before, and it's like I will say, as a man who's a gamer, like, I want the new women who are coming to the games to feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to feel like, oh, here's this weird, look, here's my new player, and I'm going to do this weird scene where I, like, roll dice to, like, have sex with women. Like, you know what I mean?
But here's the crazy thing. This happens. There have been a few stories shared by women where their female characters have been forced into sexual situations by their GM.
That's so messed up, right?
Yeah, and there has even been forced pregnancies from that. And, like, this is, I don't want to cuss, but I just need to cuss, okay? This is crazy and unacceptable. That is some messed up stuff. And you know what? I've seen men defend that too. Like, oh, it's just a game. Nah, okay, it's just a game.
It's a game.
But we should never game sexual assault. Like, there's a line that should not be crossed.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's a game. It is just a game, but it's a game where the primary vehicle of play is in your mind, using your imagination.
Yeah, I've seen myself as Tick-Tick before.
Yeah, so when you're describing a scene or playing out a scene, that scene is happening in your mind, in your brain. Like, so, like, I envision, I mean, we play a lot of theater of the mind in the games that we play. We don't use a lot of, like, maps and stuff like that, you know.
Sometimes you gotta draw a map.
Sometimes I gotta draw a map so people understand what's going on. But, you know, for the most part, we're not using maps and stuff like that. And even if we were, there's lots and lots and lots of scenes where you're with other characters and there's no need for a map. So you're just imagining everything. So, like, we're literally connecting with that part of our brain, which is creating images in our own mind. So, like, it's not healthy to create images of sexual assault. It's not healthy to replay images of things that are just, like, kind of societally bad and vile, I guess. I mean, I understand if you're playing that type of game, I can, and everybody's agreeing to that, that's one thing. But like you're saying, being forced into those circumstances, you know, I think that that's really uncomfortable. And I think that this kind of, again, this comic, it's not, I don't think this is a bad guy or anything like that. I'm not railing against this person, and I don't think we should cancel this dude or whatever who does these comics. I'm not saying that.
Did you just mention cancel culture?
I just did.
Oh, Rob.
You know, I'm not really.
Oh, God.
I know.
This is going to be a little awkward.
No, I mean, I don't feel that way, you know, for this person that's being, you know, made this comic. I just think that it's like, because I don't think that they're coming from a bad place. But I do think that some people will read this comic and think it's just a funny, innocent sort of little thing. And then they'll think, oh, it's a funny little innocent thing for me to do with this in my game, where there is maybe women who have been, you know, taken advantage of, and they don't feel comfortable hearing those kind of things play out. And,
or
you know,
just people who don't want to be in that situation.
I don't want to be in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't want that in my game. Now, we kind of have a strong long-term group, so we kind of know each other's boundaries. And then most of the other games we play, we do lines and veils. So there's a certain amount of safety tool in play where, you know, like, I always put a line on sexual assault. Actually, you know what I mean? So
if it isn't brought up on our end, it's always brought up by someone else.
Pretty much like, every game I always play in,
yeah.
You know. And if there's a game that would be important in, I'm not playing that game. I don't want to play. I don't want that in my mind.
No.
Because again, I think many role players, our imaginations we're stimulating our imaginations. We're like literally kind of helping to grow our imagination. Like we're practicing developing imagination, like every time we sit down at the table. So like our imaginations are vivid, and I don't want to vividly imagine some disgusting scene like that. Like, I just don't want it, you know. So I mean, I don't know. Are we going too far with this, do you think? Do you think this is just way too much? We're reading way too much into just some little comic?
Oh no, I do that terrible thing where I read comments. And, you know, I read the comments on here because I thought, am I reading too much? And is this just me? It might just be me. And then as I was looking through the comments, it wasn't just me. And it's just, I don't know. We read, So You've Been Publicly Shamed. And like you said, I'm not going to rally against this artist. Mm-hmm. I think he missed the mark. I don't think he understands the connotations of this. I think he could have made it really funny. And I would like to see him have a do-over.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
With the idea of consent in mind. And, but yeah, this just made me feel...
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. And, you know, that's a natural and totally appropriate response if that's the way that you felt reading it. And, you know, if you say that in the comics and in the comments that it's more than just you, I mean, even if it was just you, that would still be a totally legitimate feeling if that was the way that you felt. But I will admit that when I saw it, I was like, this is not cool. Like, I'm not cool with this. I didn't end up reading the comments. But I'm not even I can kind of just scroll past it and just be like, oh, well, okay. And this isn't really, I don't really like this. I mean, but if there's, you know, I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, that's part of making art, though, is, you know, sometimes you're not gonna hit the mark and gonna go off on the wrong path.
I mean, it's not just art. Anytime you open your mouth, not you, Rob, but, you know, anybody, there's... I didn't say it. There's always a chance that you're going to say something that will upset someone or will not come out the way you were thinking it, or I don't know. there's always a chance, and no matter what field or whatever you're doing, you know, you could go to the bank and say something. But
I think we need to be able to be willing to have a dialogue about it, though.
yes, a dialogue.
You know, So You've Been Publicly Shamed, that book by Mark Ronson, I believe, is who's the author of it. I believe it's Mark Ronson. That is, you know, it goes through some people who were publicly shamed and kind of lost their jobs and all this stuff, and bad things happened to them. And I don't really believe in... I mean, if somebody's egregious and they've done a pattern of behavior, or they've done something truly heinous, I mean, like, you know, let's cancel Harvey Weinstein, okay?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, okay?
Yeah.
But I think maybe it's gone a little too far in that, you know, somebody says one thing or two things, you know, they made a mistake 10 years ago, and then all of a sudden we're not, you know, they posted something stupid on Twitter. We change a lot. I mean, as human beings, I think people
we need
change.
to be allowed to make mistakes and make up for those mistakes.
We need to be able to apologize and people accept it. I think we need to be able to, because dude, I make mistakes all the time.
Yeah,
you know?
and I'll also say this. We tend to dig our heels in when we're getting defensive. So I think by, you know, I think in this situation, the creator could go a few different ways. He could ignore it. He could rewrite it or redo it based on feedback, or he could just continue on with these rapey overtones.
But it's only in the one comic, though, that we saw.
It's only in there. So, you know, I think we need to be flexible and see how someone can right this wrong.
Yeah.
And move on from it.
It'd be interesting.
But I know, you know, I think you and I are also coming from, this will affect other people more deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And...
yeah, well, we'll maybe reach out to the artists and see what they have to say about it.
I'm sure he's getting a lot of messages right now. But yeah, I could try reaching out and seeing.
Well, anyway, if anybody out there, have you got anything else to say, or should we wrap this up here, this little segment up here?
I got a lot of things to say, but not necessarily about this.
All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I'm interested if any of you out there have seen this comic that we're talking about, and you have any feelings about this, or, you know, sort of what we've been talking about here. We'd love to hear from you. rpgsandbabymakes3@gmail.com. You can also just leave a comment on the YouTube or really anywhere, Facebook page, just however you want to
At
get
least
hold of
I'll
us.
read the comments.
I read the comments.
For us?
Yeah, because we don't get a lot.
Please leave us comments.
We did get a very nice
that
comment
are nice
recently on our 10 Candles actual play, so that was very nice, and I really appreciate that person for expressing their enjoyment of our 10 Candles actual play.
That was intense. You were so bad at rolling sixes that night.
Oh my god, that was the longest game of 10 Candles. I mean, the candles almost went out on their own, so that's how long of a game that was. But anyway, let's move on here. Let's finish off this segment, and we'll close off the show. Well, another episode of RPGs and Baby Makes 3 is coming to a close. Our first with this new format. Pretty intense conversation there. I wanted to kind of finish up the show here. You know, I recently read Of Dice and Men. This.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let me get the whole. Yeah. Let me get the whole title here. But it came out in, I believe it was in 2013, yes. August 20th, 2013. My birthday's
your birthday.
That was my birthday. Of Dice and Men, the story of Dungeons and Dragons and the people who play it, by David Ewaltz. And it was really interesting. It was a sort of a history of the game, and it went back to, you know, chess and early war games and kind of how those eventually led into role-playing games. And it was a really fascinating sort of history of the game and everything that's happened, which I really enjoyed. There was one little snippet, though, that I thought that was kind of funny. We recently did an episode where we asked if Ernie Gygax was a bigot. Well, at one point, the author goes...
Short answer was...
kind of a bigot. So he goes at one point, he decides that he's got to go to the birthplace of Dungeons and Dragons, like as a pilgrimage. And he goes and he signs up and he plays a game with Ernie Gygax as the dungeon master. And he describes the game. And it sounds effing terrible. It's basically room after room of empty dungeons. And it's all random encounters. And it was so boring and stupid. It sounded like the worst possible game ever. But I thought it was really funny because that was back in 2013, or I guess he probably played the game in like 2011, 2012 or something like that as he was writing the book. But I thought it was funny Ernie Gygax made an appearance and it was like, not a very good game anyway. So maybe if they put out new stuff, maybe it won't be that good.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know.
Time will tell.
Well, TSR, I guess, now is dead. They changed the name of the company, so I don't know what happened. They're still putting out the games, but they are not doing TSR games. I don't know what happened exactly. I don't know all the details, but I've moved on. Anyway, good book. I'd recommend it if people are interested in reading it. It's written by Ewald, is a journalist for Forbes magazine, and in my professional life, I'm a journalist. I write about arts and culture for a local newspaper. And I really loved the writing style. It was obviously very, very well researched, and the guy is incredibly passionate about Dungeons and Dragons as well. He's a big time player. And so I really just enjoyed the tone of the book. It was nice. This isn't just like some memoir by somebody who can't write. This is like a professional journalist writing about Dungeons and Dragons. And it was really well done. And there was like literally tens of pages of reference. It was really well researched. Good stuff. I definitely enjoyed it. It also really had a nice cover.
You know what's so interesting is just when you had it up, I saw the rating was 3.7 out of 5. So this seems like a kind of book where you're going to love it or hate it.
Well, I think that there are choices that are made in the book. So there's a lot of fractures in the history of Dungeons & Dragons between various parties who are on one side or the other. Between Gygax and Arneson, and then all with everything with the Bloom brothers and the sale of TSR and Gygax. You're going to read all... I'm not going to get into all the details about this, but there was a lot of...
That was pretty detail-y.
Well, it was some detail, but there's a lot more. And there was a lot of infighting.
Depending on the side that you're on is how you're going to like it.
Right, and a lot of these gaming people, they weren't really business people. They were making games, and so like they made a lot of mistakes, and so there's all this stuff happened. And yeah, so... in some ways, people might have heard their version of a story or their side, and they've kind of chosen a side. And so, like, there's some controversy there, I think. There'll be some people that will disagree with certain things, and people will agree with other things. And, I sort of found it to be a pretty fair, middle-of-the-road compromise on it. And I don't think a lot of, some people in the gaming community are diehards towards one creator or another. Some people just will back Arneson all day long, and other people think of Gary Gygax as a god, and there's just different ways of thinking of it. And so I think that people could find problems with the book if they go into it with their own sort of agenda on how they think it really happened. And maybe they're right. I mean, this guy's writing about this story based on information he's collecting years after the fact. I mean, by this point, Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson are both dead when he's writing this book. So, you can't even talk to the people. So,
And then you might be like me. I stopped listening to you 4 minutes ago.
What else is new? All right, well, let's end this episode. But anyway, there is a quote in the book which I really liked that I'm gonna use as a topic on an episode upcoming, and I'll reveal that to you all when we do that episode, because it was a really interesting quote from a gamer that it really hit me in an interesting way about playing with people who have different political persuasion than you. And I'd really like to talk about that. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the
YouTube the stations that you listen to us.
Yeah, wherever
can
you listen to us,
on
subscribe.
the
And
thingy.
I hear that if you leave a 5-star review on iTunes, that the D&D fairy will grant you with good rolls. I don't know about
a natural 20.
I can neither confirm nor deny those rumors, but if you leave a 5-star review, and I hear the chances even increase if you write a couple of sentences about how great the show is, that you are even more likely to roll very well in your next gaming session. I can't confirm these rumors, but go ahead and try it out. What's the harm? Also subscribe on YouTube. So that's it. All right.
Yeah,
So we'll talk to you in a couple of whenever we get to it, because we have a kid and the world is never certain. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Take care, y'all.
RPGs and Baby Makes 3 is a production of Gretchen and Rob sitting on their couch. Email the show at rpgsandbabymakes3@gmail.com. You can find more episodes on Podbean, Spotify, and iTunes, as well as on our free Patreon page at patreon.com/RPGs and Baby Makes 3.